I am a grateful recovering addict. My name is Marvin. And it's funny because I just happened to, I hadn't done it in a minute, but I just looked at my clean time, and today I have 1,275 days clean. And I don't need, please don't clap. But Joey said something, I thought about it. I did raise my hand and share a lot because I heard something and it hit a passion in me, and I couldn't help it to share because my gratitude speaks when I care and when I share in a way, right? And for those people that didn't like that I was always sharing, I'm not saying this to brag or to boast, but guess what? I'm still clean. I'm still clean, and I love being clean. Congratulations to everybody that picked up a key tag, and I was about to say medallions, which we didn't do, but I love clean time. I love clean time. Because if you picked up a key tag, that means you can pat yourself on the back. You don't have to wait for us to do it because you did something that nobody thought you would do, and probably you yourself thought you wouldn't do, but you did it. I'm one of those people that this is a step series. I love step meetings. If you want to hear a speaker meeting, go to a regular meeting. So I'm going to jump right into steps. But again, my clean date is March 18, 2019. So again, that's 1,275 days, 3 years, 5 months, 26 days. On Sunday, I have 3.5 years. I'm proud of that because I pour into my recovery. To the home group, I want to thank y'all for asking me to bring you guys through a 12-step series. That's huge for me. This is my first time doing this, and I have gratitude in my heart because somebody considered me because of the program that I work. And I want you to be able to get something from this. I'm going to give you my experience, my strength, my hope with the step. I don't know how it's going to come out, but that's okay. Everybody in this room knows that I love them. But when we come to these rooms, it's about my love for you, but it becomes more about the love for the program. I ain't giving you nothing but what the literature says. I love literature, and that's it. So with the first step, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction and that our lives had become unmanageable. And the most important word in that first step is word. The important thing that we have to understand, this is the one step that we have to thoroughly work. We don't quickly work this step. We're not in a race. None of that. We have to understand what it is that we're embarking upon, right? Because our literature tells us that many of us sought help through medicine, religion, and psychiatry. None of those methods were sufficient for us. So what that tells me is that getting clean is hard to do. And I've heard people say that it's hard to stay clean. No, baby, it is hard to get clean, which is why many of us have tried medicine, religion, and psychiatry, and none of that worked because it's hard to get clean. But once I get to the place that I can admit something, I'm saying I acknowledge that this ain't right and I need help. That's my admission. The powerlessness piece, I can't handle this on my own. So there's something for me, the reason that I love Narcotics Anonymous so much is the power that I lacked. Now that I admitted that I was powerless, is key for me because that's what I used to be. That's not where I am now, right? And then when I jump into this step, it gives me the ability to understand and to see from a different perspective that what I thought I lacked, I now have regained. And we can get to the second step next week, but the power that I lacked because I was in this incurable disease that is progressive and insidious and baffling and cunning. Let me tell you something about the disease of addiction. It is no more powerful than we are. So as cunning, as baffling, and as insidious as this disease is, we're just as cunning and we're just as crafty. I've learned how to trick the disease before it can trick me. And I do that by staying in the steps because this is where my power is. And I got as long as I have the ability to choose, once I complete that first step, I'm no longer powerless because I can choose now, right? So powerless, I can't do this by myself. Working the steps of Narcotics Anonymous, I can't do it by myself. I need a sponsor to guide me, to help me understand the spiritual principles. It's the spiritual principles that I began to apply in all my affairs. It is the spiritual principles that have changed my life, that have changed me, which is why I'm able to endure and manage better in the affairs. So we talked about admission, we talked about powerlessness, now we talk about unmanageability, right? When I lack the power or the ability to manage something, that means that I've let something get out of control. If I get in the ring with somebody and I'm fighting and I lower my head, or if I'm not practicing my trade just right, or if I'm not my skill, my craft, whatever, if I'm not managing the right way, if I'm letting something slip, my opponent is managing me better than I'm managing myself. So I'm losing, right? So in the affairs of my life, if I can't manage my affairs because for whatever reason, I lack the discipline, I lack the wisdom, I lack the patience, whatever it is causing me to be unmanageable, I have to address that so that I can get back on track. Now with me, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm sitting right here right now, and I'm grateful that I'm starting the first step tonight with you guys, because I have to look at the unmanageability in my own life. I have poor time management skills. And I'm just going to be honest with you. Here lately, I have noticed that time is something I can't get back once it's gone. And I do so much with the time that I have, but it's really, I do a lot. And it's effective, but the things that I need to do for myself, the reason I say I'm unmanageable is because I'm doing more for other people than I'm doing for myself. And I can't pour from the empty cup. And I'm okay with, what works for me may not work for somebody else. So in as much as I'm saying that I'm unmanageable with my time, which I kind of am, but it's really not, it's not bad. I work in treatment. That's not my recovery. That is not my recovery. Anything that I get a paycheck for is not my recovery. But I'm learning to actually look at where I am in my program and in the time management aspect, because the thing that I feel like I'm out of control with, all I have to do is just tweak some things. I have the ability now to do a personal inventory. When I do that personal inventory, anything that is not right, I can fix it. So I'm not beating myself up. One of the first things that I did when I approached Narcotics Anonymous, and I realized NA stands for never alone. So I don't have to worry about if there's something in the steps I don't understand, I have predecessors I can go to. I don't connect with just anybody. I connect with people that I see that are working programs. I connect with people who I see you're walking it like you're talking it. If you're telling me about spiritual principles, I need to know that you're applying them just right, because where I fall short, now I can rely on you for your wisdom and your experience and your insight. Again, it's the first step, so I'm gonna get back into the literature because, I can get off track a little bit, but I'll try my best to stay on point. We learn to recognize our own disease as we get better at being aware of what's happening inside us. When we are better able to look at ourselves honestly and understand how we operate, it's easier for us to accept ourselves. Honest self-assessment requires a little detachment so we can stop judging and becoming willing to change. Having compassion for others teaches us to have compassion for ourselves. Some of us ask ourselves how we would respond to a sponsee going through what we're struggling with. That is talking about acceptance right there, and that's one of the spiritual principles of the first step. And also getting into surrender a little bit, and that was from Living Clean. The acceptance piece. The first step really taught me how to accept. First off, I'm the thing that I was in denial about for the longest time. I'm not an addict. Once I had a clear understanding of what it meant to be an addict, I accepted that. And the reason I accepted that is now I got to accept that I am an addict in order to get help so that I can become a recovering addict. There's no harm in me saying I like to introduce myself as a grateful recovering addict. I hear people say things all the time, but I'm not here to tell you what people say. I'm here to tell you what I say. And what I say is this: I'm a grateful recovering addict. Addict is where I come from. That's what I used to do. And I'm not ashamed of what I did in my life, because addiction didn't happen to me. It happened for me. My gratitude is what it is now because of the life I live because of addiction. My love is what it is. Everything that I am right now on a positive side is because of what I did, what I went through, how I lived my life when I was in active addiction. And I make no mistakes for it. I make no mistakes about what I did, and I make no apologies for it. Because I was able to get honest with the most important person in my life, and that's me. I was not afraid of the first step, and I'm still not afraid of the first step. I just told you that I'm lacking in the time management department. Because see, the thing about it is unmanageability in one area of my life can easily leak over into another area of my life. So it's like playing whack-a-mole. This is why we talk about I'm not responsible for the disease of addiction, but I am responsible for my recovery. I'm responsible to work spiritual principles all the time. The first step, we're talking about honesty. We're talking about acceptance. We're talking about surrender. I have to surrender on a daily basis. Sometimes minute by minute, sometimes hour by hour when I'm driving in traffic, and my sponsees ride with me sometimes, y'all. And I'm not impatient in traffic. I do talk to people. I talk about them too. Get your ass out of my way. But it's not, I'm not impatient. I just want them to move because I'm driving. My car was made for my foot. I don't know, but one speed, and that's fast, right? So if you get in my way, you're impeding my progress, and I'm just talking to you nicely. In my head, not so nicely, but in my mouth. Stop shaking your head. Anyways, no, I digress. But no, I've accepted some things, and I've come to terms with the things now that I'm a part of that used to trigger me so easily. I'm not so quick to pop off anymore. I mean, the popping off is still in there, but there's a lot of program in there too. So again, going back to the first step where I had to work that real thoroughly because I'm embarking on a new way of living, right? Because the message of Narcotics Anonymous is that an addict, any addict, can stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. So for me, if I'm starting something new, it's like me starting college classes. On that very first day, I'm going to show up. I'm going to take notes. I need the syllabus. I need to understand what the expectation of me is. Because in order for me to be successful in what I'm doing, I need to have all the information. Not because I want to be a star student. No, I want to do the best that I can. So when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, the way that I was living, it was all about hopelessness. It was all about despondency. It was all about depression. It was all about anxiety. It was all about fear. So I want to know how to get out of these things and stay out of these things. So I want all the information that I can possibly get. So I came to a meeting and I was told, get a sponsor, right? I need a sponsor to help me work these steps, to help me understand how to apply spiritual principles. I need to understand the difference of doing homework and doing step work because it's two different things. I don't take a pen and take a piece of paper and sit down by myself, read the first step, and all of a sudden, where do I start now? I don't even know I need a step working guide. But even if I did know I needed to get one, yes, there's 69 questions in that first step. I don't just sit down and start answering questions because I still lack the guidance that I need. That's like me going to that college course, getting the syllabus and everything else I need, but I don't have a professor to guide me through the course. And I would be a damn fool to think that I'm going to pass that course without a professor. And it's the same way with the steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I am not going to be successful in my step working process if I don't have a sponsor. I admitted that I was powerless over my addiction and that my life had become unmanageable. So by default, when I admit that I was powerless, when I come to this program, I'm looking for somebody who's connected to that power source so that I can link up with them. If I'm admitting that my life had become unmanageable, I'm looking for somebody whose life is now manageable because I need you to teach me how to manage my life. I'm not ashamed to say I don't know what I'm doing. That's humility. We'll get into that's another spiritual principle. But the thing that I love the most about the steps is that while I'm working one step, all the spiritual principles are tied together, right? So if I work one spiritual principle, there's an interlay, an overlay, an interlocking, and interconnectedness, whatever you want to say. But it becomes so much. If you don't put that phone on vibrate, please and thank you. But anyways, as I work the steps, it becomes easier for me. It's hard to stay clean. Imagine a bodybuilder saying that every time they go to the gym, it gets harder and harder. Because we know that to be not true. The more I go, the easier it becomes. The more I work these steps, the easier it becomes to work the steps. The more I settle into the steps, the easier it is for the steps to settle into me. The more I apply principles in my life, the easier it becomes for me to apply principles in my life. The more I'm able to admit something, the easier it is for me to stay honest in admitting those things. The easier it is for me to acknowledge when I'm powerless over something, the easier it is for me to open my mouth and say, I need help with this. The more that I admit that I can't manage something, it's easy for me to open my mouth and say, I need help. Help me manage this. And when I start managing, I look at me. What caused me to be powerless in the first place? What caused me to be unmanageable? I'm looking at those things and the things that I did not like or that caused me to be that way. I'm going to work on those. That's a part of the inventory that I have to look at because I want to become better in this process. Because remember, on the first day of class, my goal is to get an A, right? That's mine. I don't know about you, but I'm just talking about me. So when I started working this first step, my goal is to come in here, understand the spiritual principles, because the spiritual principles are designed to change me. As I work them, for me, they're designed to change me, not you. My process is designed to change me. Your process is designed to change you. But the love that I have for me as I work a program is going to cause me to love you, and I will aid and I will assist however I can. I'm going to call my sponsor every day so that I know that I'm doing this right. Not that I need validation and need pats on the back, but I need to make sure that my sponsor is my lifeline to the 12 steps. My sponsor is my lifeline for the program that I have. The relationship that I have with my sponsor mirrors, well, I'm not going to say mirrors, but it rivals, if the relationship I have with my sponsor is as important as the relationship I have with my mother. My mom gave me birth. God gave me life. My mom gave me birth. She raised me. But my sponsor gives me a new life. This new way to live, I got this because I have a relationship with my sponsor. And coming up on 3.5 years, I still call my sponsor every day because I still need his power. I still need his manageability. I still need his admission of being, I'm honest about this and I can accept this and I know how to surrender to this. I call my sponsor sometimes and we have really good conversations and it amazes me. I sit back sometimes and I just like, wow, I know God picked this man for me to be my sponsor. And we have like one of the most amazing friendships, relationships, brotherhoods. I mean, it's just, he's everything to me. But anyways, let me give y'all something else and I'm going to shut it down because I want to hear from y'all. But the first step, honesty, had to replace denial before we could face the truth of our addiction. What is the truth of my addiction? Or what was the truth of my addiction? The truth of my addiction is that I was going to end up in jail. I was going to end up in an institution. Or I was going to end up dead. The truth of my addiction is that I was going to rip my family apart because I was willing to do any and everything imaginable and unimaginable to hurt them to help me. The truth of my addiction was that I was going to lose everything that I had. The most important being my self-respect, my self-dignity, my self-love. The truth of my addiction is that I was going to isolate from all of y'all and I was going to become this hermit. I wasn't going to give a damn about anything or anybody. The truth of my addiction is that it was set to bring me in this moment right here, right now. And the truth of my addiction was, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. But I had to get to a place where I had to admit some things. And it didn't start out like this. Trust me, do you think I came in the room with somebody, oh, this is going to make me the best person possible? No, I just loved it. No, it didn't start out like that. It didn't start out like that. But the program of Narcotics Anonymous has the ability to transform, to change. I don't know if you know like I know or not. I'm originally from South Carolina. But where I'm from, to transform or to change, it means to transform or to change. So the good news about coming to this program is you ain't going to leave the same way you came. If you're honest, if you're an open-minded individual, and if you're willing to do the work, ain't no way that you're going to leave the same way you came. Because just a little dab will do you. But when you get that little dab, it's something about the meat and potatoes in the readings, in the steps. It's something about that little dab. I get just a little taste, and all of a sudden now I got this huge appetite, and I just want to go hard for mine. I just want to keep going and keep going. Service is the heartbeat of this program. I don't know how not to serve. I came in when I was a shot-out mess with no time clean. I hit the ground running then. As soon as my sponsor gave me step work, that was one thing, but I was serving even long before I started working steps. Because I learned early on, if I stay connected to you, and if you stay connected to me, a 3-fold cord is not easily broken. But when I come to Narcotics Anonymous, look around you. I see more than 3 people. The more people I'm connected to, the broader my base, the higher my point of freedom. So I want to make sure that I got recovering addicts with me, not just people that are clean. I need people that have recovery, because at the end of the day, I learned something about this program. We're supposed to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. And sometimes carrying the message means that I have to reach out, to reach down to get you, but I got to hold on to somebody else who needs to hold on to me so I can get this person who's getting somebody else. And if I didn't have the ability to come in here and understand what the message of Narcotics Anonymous was, what it does in terms of transforming my life, changing my mind, modifying my behavior, if I didn't understand these things, if I didn't know that the newcomer is the most important person, if I didn't understand the fifth tradition, that our primary purpose is to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. To carry the message to the addict who still suffers. I care about y'all, but I don't care nothing about coming here sounding good to make you laugh, to make you smile, make you be like, oh, child, he showed out. I don't care about none of that. What I care about is you hearing something that you can take and go out there and help that addict who is still suffering. But we got people in the room still suffering. That's by choice. People that are out there, that's not by choice. Because remember, medicine, religion, and psychiatry, they ain't helping us. And if it didn't help us, how do we think it's going to help them? So what do we have to do? We are who they know. Because once an addict, I ain't going to say always an addict because that lie is dead. But once you are an addict, you know how to identify with another addict, whether they're using or not. And I can't reach what I can't relate to. And if I don't work a thorough first step and understand that, you know what, for the rest of my life, I have to practice honesty. I have to practice acceptance. I have to practice surrender because I can easily end up back where I started from. If I always stick with the basics, I'll never have to return to the basics. I always want to think like I'm a newcomer because the newcomer is the most important person in any meeting. I didn't say I want to be as important as the newcomer, but I want to think like the newcomer. I want to identify with the newcomer because you have much more, you're closer to still active addiction than I am. The more time I have, the further away from that active addiction I am. Although it's about the behavior, let me say it this way. The longer I am clean, the more time I have away from the substances. Because I can still be clean and still be in addiction. So let me help you understand. I didn't mean to trip y'all up like that because the disease is still prevalent, which is why I always continually work a program, a thorough program. Thorough, not quick. I don't microwave what I have. I want to put it in the crock pot and let that thing simmer all day. Because if I got a slow cooked meal, those nutrients and those ingredients, it's just everything is so succulent. So the steps, the principles get together and you got some, it's like you got some paprika and you got some basil and you got some lemon pepper and you got this. Did I say cayenne? You got some of that too. But I got some hope and I got some acceptance and I got some love and I got some faith. And boy, it's like I get that on my lips and it's like I'm just licking my fingers, my lips and everything. That's what these steps, that's how excited I am for my program. That's how excited. Y'all laughing. I'm so damn serious. I'm from South Carolina, boy. I know a thing or two about some good. You better season my food. You better give me some salt and some pepper. I want a recovery that when I put it in my mouth, it just makes it's making me sweat like I'm sweating right now. That's the kind of recovery I want. Working that first step gave me the ability to understand. I started loving me all over again because I learned how to be honest with me. I learned how to accept myself, and I learned how to surrender from anything that's gonna hurt me. I understand surrender is a power move. Surrender is not something I do because I'm defeated. Surrender is something I do and I practice because I have the power and the ability to do it. And for the rest of my life, every day, I get to tell the disease of addiction, no. That's what surrender means. I don't surrender to the disease. I surrender from the disease and surrender to the program of Narcotics Anonymous. Because I admitted that I was powerless over my addiction and that my life had become unmanageable. I'm in the hands of a power greater than myself. And I understand that the addiction is not mine anyways. Because there's something greater than the disease of addiction. I have knowledge. I have wisdom. I have information. I look around and have a room full of people who have hearts of love that remind me I'm not by myself. Together, we're stronger. It's the lone wolf that always, or the lone sheep that always gets picked off from the pack. As long as I stick with y'all, I'm good to go. But even if I walk away from y'all because y'all getting on my nerves, I take my program with me. But I can never be alone, no matter what. Because once that message is in here, and once I become the message, it's attraction rather than promotion. So no matter where I go, I'm telling y'all now, it's not because I'm all that, because I'm not. I think of myself like I'm somebody because I am. That's what my program has taught me. But I'm always attracting somebody wherever I go. I couldn't fuck up if I wanted to. I could, but I don't want to. There's always somebody watching. The little bit of influence that the God of my understanding has allowed me to have, the impact that I've been able to make I can see a platform forming, and to whom much is given, much is required. If nobody else wants to carry the message, I'll carry the message. The message is that an addict, any addict, can stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. Honesty, acceptance, and surrender. Part of my daily reprieve. Honesty, acceptance, surrender. I'm a grateful recovering addict, Marvin.